Welcome everyone to today's Retail Wire Roundtable, AI-ready product data, getting your product feeds ready for ChatGPT, Perplexity, and beyond. As we all know, generative AI is quickly becoming the new front door for product discovery, and consumers are no longer just typing into Google. They're searching AI platforms with questions, comparing products, and finding answers. That shift really puts a lot of pressure on brands and retailers to manage their product data. So today we are joined by three leaders who are in the middle of this transformation. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
So I'll start first. Hello, everyone. I'm Romit Bhatia. I actually work at the intersection of AI, e-commerce, and data transformation. And what does this essentially means is I help enterprise become AI ready with respect to their enterprise data, their product discovery, their personalization use case, and some of these transformative areas. Thank you so much, Chase, for inviting me to this esteemed panel, and then I'm looking forward for today's discussion.
Thanks for being here. Tarun?
Sure. Hey guys, Tarun Chandrasekhar here. I'm the President and Chief Product Officer at Syndigo. We work with more than 15,000 brands and 3,500 retailers, including 90% of the top 20 US retailers. Our platform connects product creation, enrichment, syndication into one flow. So brands and retailers can deliver accurate, trusted product experiences, whether shoppers are discovering products at a retailer's website, in a marketplace, or an AI-driven search.
And JP joining us from Australia.
Good morning, guys. My name is JP Tucker. I'm the co-founder of OptiDen AI. My background comes from 20 years across supply chain, working for Dell, GlaxoSmithKline, Beiersdorf. I've exited my first startup in the liquor marketplace, and it's where the solution that we're building in this space has come from with OptiDen, where we optimize large product feeds for retailers from 1,000 products up to 100,000 plus.
And my name is Chase Spinney, CEO of Retail Wire, and we'll spend the next 45 minutes exploring what it means to make product feeds AI ready and what challenges companies are already running into. So kicking this off, I want to hear from all of you. What does it mean to you when we say AI ready product feeds?
Chase, I'll start with a small story which recently happened to me. My wife showed me a lamp picture from Instagram, and she said, "Hey, can you buy it online for me?" Think about 10 years back, I would have just put some words on the Google search bar like lamp, golden in color, to be put on the ceiling, and would have got like a list of pages. But right now, what I did was I just took that image, put it in ChatGPT or the Google AI bar, and it gives me exact match of those lamps. Now, this really struck me. There is a paradigm shift which is happening from a search standpoint. It's no more searching with words, it's searching with context. And I think this tiny dramatic shift is actually asking or enabling this whole transformation within retailers where they need to get their product data ready for these AI agents, LLMs to be searched. That's how essentially I think of the discussion today.
Yeah, it's a great point, right? So I think if I just take that on forward, the endpoints of where we are looking for products has evolved. It's not just evolving, it already has evolved, right? You're looking at it in primary two places. You're looking at it in social media, just like you said, somebody's looking at Instagram, and you're looking at it within your AI bot, whether it's ChatGPT, Cloud, whatever you're working in. And the entire e-commerce space over the last 30 years was built for search. It was built to say, I want to find the product, then get to the PDB, buy it, ship it to me, pick it up in store, whatever it be from there. And now that whole thing has been pivoted to just be within the area. My kids do not shop on Amazon. They shop in Instagram. They shop in TikTok, right? They want to just directly buy the product from there. Mm-hmm. So if I think of AI product ready, there are like two elements to it. It is, first of all, from a consumer side, what does it mean for an AI to be, for a product to be AI ready, for them to be able to consume it correctly? And then we can also talk about what does it mean for the orchestrators, the brands, the distributors, the retailers in terms of that. JP, any thoughts on this?
Yeah, so I'll share some numbers I pulled out earlier on, right? When we're talking to retailers, some of them are still in the fog a bit that AI, yeah, we must get ready for it. And we're trying to explain to them it's here. That moment has passed. We did a study across 800 retailers in Australia, and 85% of them fail for basic KPIs across search algorithms. Now, that's for SEO. But that stuff, as we go into more agentic commerce, it's more critical that they have those basic KPIs, because you've got a robot scanning their page, crying out for information to marry it to a search query. Now, when we talk about a search query, ChatGPT today is already hitting over 1 billion searches.
Mm-hmm.
So people are already looking for the information in there. SimilarWeb shared some information of a recent study as well. 80% of ChatGPT users are coming out of ChatGPT and going across to Google.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what's that telling us is ChatGPT just haven't married that link yet. So once they do that, it's going to be a more powerful shift to come. So it's scary in that way for retailers that aren't ready, that really need to catch up quite fast, because those that are making the move, they're catching a head start.
And JP, I think all these facts are very, very interesting. One thing which sort of put a summary to this is like the product page of a retailer is no more the buying spot. It is the end AI agent, the assistant, the LLM, where the end user is essentially landing. And while I work with multiple different enterprise Fortune 500 companies today, there are 2 or 3 different patterns what I see in terms of how the user is now interacting with these products. I see them interacting through normal chat GPT perplexity. That's one part of it, what we have already seen, which means that now as retailers are getting their product data ready, they need to have it more structured. They need to now ensure that, hey, they should have details around FAQs, what are the features that the product is building, all very, very structured. There is a second area that I'm seeing is this whole virtual try-ons, which means now a lot of eyewears, beauty brands, they are enabling virtual try-ons. So is your product data ready in terms of like images which are like high resolution rendering with multiple different angles to it? That's the question that the retailers need to think about it. There's a third area which you mentioned about agentic commerce, which is very, very valid. I see ask to task, which essentially means that, hey, there is a ask coming in, and agentic commerce in enabling a purchase, a buying pattern, and things like that, which also means that retailer need to now bring in real-time inventory, dynamic pricing as part of this agentic commerce as well, along with the product data. I think these are 2 or 3 things which I have personally experienced and seeing transformation in the Fortune 500 companies as we capture this AI product ready space.
It's a really, really good point there, I think. And if just reminds me of a conversation right now, because the next step after this, if we have to enable this, because this is what the number one, most of my C-suite conversations are, great, I get it, this is what we need.
Yeah.
How do I get there? Like, what do I need to do to get there, right? And the number one thing that we have come across is that we have to make sure that the product attributes that we have for our SKUs, well, they have to be complete. That's always been the case. It had to be complete even for the PDP, but it also needs to be machine readable, right? It has to be something where an AI can actually understand not just the brand, model, size, color, price, availability. It's the allergy information, it's the regulatory flags, it's the controlled vocabularies, the IDs, is the GTIN now associated with the image asset, so I can easily identify that this image belongs to the SKU, or am I then wasting cycle time to figure out is this the same SKU? And when it just gets it directly, it moves faster. One of the things that I was talking to an AI researcher who mentioned was the big difference in how AI works is AI wants data that is definitive. They want the most definitive answers that this is the right product, this is the right SKU, and it will just jump to that. It doesn't even need to be more accurate, it has to be definitive. Now the question comes in our GEOs, how do you exploit that to make sure your product shows up? That's really the next step for us, I think.
Yeah, I think it's important, and it's the scary thing is as agentic learns more about your website. If you're that definitive product out, it's your website showing more accurate information. That's becoming a source of truth for them. They're more likely to come back to your website more often.
Yeah.
And that means that the people that aren't optimized, they're going to fall further behind.
Yeah.
So it's how do I get that information in there? Like we know out there's retailers with blank pages, and it's not an easy fix. If you've got 500 products or you have 1,000, it's time consuming. There's a cost to it. Where do I go and get the accurate information and get someone to write it for me? Especially even in fashion, it's very seasonality. By the time a team goes and writes all that content and gets it ready for agentic search, that season's probably over and that stock is probably moved on. So how do you get that speed to market and get more accurate? Romit, I know what you're talking about is the scary thing is this keeps moving forward. We've been locked in by Google's algorithm for a long, long time now, and we've had to play by their rules. And I think it's great that we have ChatGPT and Perplexity are poking them, because it really opens up where the future might go. And these agentic search, they want more live data. If you have a happy hour or an afternoon promotion, they want to know about it today. So when you jump on and you're searching for something when you come back from your lunch break, I want something that's on special or clearance today, and I want it before it's gone. The agentic will be able to go and find that quite quickly for you.
Correct. And
Mohammed had a comment. Mohammed had a comment in the audience. He was saying not just machine readable, right, by the bot, but the attributes have to be much more richer to fit the shopping context.
Yeah.
The old search is like, I'm looking for running shoes. The new search is, I just tore my ACL. I want to get back into running. What's the best shoe for me? Also, I have flat feet, right? So there's like all these personalized pieces in the search query. And what does that mean for product data? Are there extra fields for these? I mean, are you going to, like Taran said, are you going to exploit this in some way? And how bloated will your product
record be?
Right?
It's a genuine question, right? It's funny you mentioned shoes. This was yesterday for me because I just was having foot pain in my training shoes, and I was like, okay, let me look it up. 600 miles I've ran on this. It lasts about 450 miles. I forgot. I was like, okay, I'm gonna just buy the same shoe. So I went to ChatGPT and said, hey, I race with the Alpha Flies, but I train with these Zoomfly, Nike Zoomfly. Should I just get this? Should I get the Zoomfly 6? What else can you recommend, right? And it is now taking everything that's in memory for me. Okay, I'm training for Ironman California in October. So that means the next 3 months is going to be all long runs. You need to probably look at the Saucony Endorphin 5 because that's more suited to what. I mean, it was eye-opening. It was 30 seconds of search, but it got me exactly what I would have either probably gone to the Fleet Feet or running company and talked to somebody about to get that done. And it's like a 2-hour experience that's 30 seconds today, right? So coming back to your question of what does it do to the product record, it definitely expands it. There is no doubt around that. We already knew this, even in the Google search world, that most of our enterprises are struggling with just creating this one seamless product graph, which connects logistical, supply chain, marketing information, everything, attribution about the product. What we call is a complete end-to-end product experience. And then what the comment correctly identified was you need to then match that with the consumer experience. Hey, do I know from a CDP who is that customer? And as they're coming in, can I dynamically adjust the attribution that matters to me when I log in, or me when I'm searching for it, or me when I'm watching a video, to be able to attract my attention and click the buy now button?
And Tarun, these are great points. Let me overlay this with what some of the large enterprises are already doing to solve some of these use cases today. So I work across Fortune 500 retailers and CPG organization. And one thing that each of these companies are focusing on is getting their data in right shape and form. Okay, what does this essentially means is, how do they create a golden copy of their product attributes, and not just product attributes, but also across their business functions, ensuring that they create a medallion architecture across their data platform, which is bronze, silver, gold, and then gold becomes the copy where the agents and your agentic commerce can actually take place. That's one. Specifically, with respect to product data, metadata becomes key to it. So right now you are correct, like the metadata field has to increase, but think about the enterprise are also focusing on a golden copy, which means that the number of SKUs within the metadata is gonna come down. The fields are increasing horizontally, but the number of SKUs within their PIM is gonna reduce. So the focus essentially is enriching the metadata. That's one part of it. Bringing in more images as part of their CDP, and then finally enabling that as part of their overall process, which means if there is an end-to-end process involved with their e-commerce, then what are the parts where an agent can do the work, what are the parts where the human can do the work. So that's what I'm seeing at this point.
This again, so large, I'll not name the retailer here, but large CEO of a large organic foods retailer in the US, right? Conversation goes like this, like, hey, I want to use agentic PXM. I want agents deployed, but I'm running a multi-billion-dollar business. How am I going to deploy this in there? And so we're starting to see this narrative that splits this, saying if there's something you never did before, you can use 100% agentic thing, saying this will just, the AI will take care of it. But when you have humans in the loop, your workflows are now split between AI agents and human agents, and then the human agents have all of the approval authority saying, double check the homework of what the AI did. So visually in our software, I'm now starting to see, there was an 8-step workflow and the 4 AI agentic step workflows, which previously were just skipped because it was like, I can just automate it with structural code. Now it is agentic, it reads it, approves it, and then the next step when the human gets into the loop, they are saying, yeah, that doesn't go back and fix something else, and then it iterates, it comes back from it. It's fascinating, and I'm seeing the idea that these agents in a large enterprise workflow are more co-pilots right now, and when all of these co-pilots stitch together into a complete end-to-end hands-off agent, then your human in the loop is only coming in. So take an example, if I'm Unilever, I'm making it up, this is not Unilever's story, but I'm making it up with Unilever and I'm sending products to Amazon. They have a complex process to say, hey, enrich this information, send this. Amazon sends back feedback saying, I want additional attributes. I want you to change these from grams to ounces. That loop currently can take days, if not weeks.
Correct.
That's where your agentic world comes in to be able to automate syndication seamlessly. So it's going to be a phased step where you will have 50-50, maybe, I'm being optimistic here, of humans and agents in a loop. And then overall, it's going to get to a point where humans are only needed when AI just can't figure out something at that point.
True.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just to add to that, right? I'd be very skeptical to plug something into someone's website and let the AI just run it and fix it today. Our own platform still has the human QA part of it. And we're introducing some agents within that, but behind it there's always a human kind of holding its hand, as you mentioned, a co-pilot. And it's like our aim is to be 80% tech, 20% human. And I don't see that changing for quite a long time.
Especially if you bring in the question that I think one of the comments that Reg had was around changing prices, descriptions, counterfeits, and certifications. Like how do you address that? We used to have a double loop system where there were at least 2 humans involved to say, hey, is the allergy information correct? Is this identification of counterfeit? Now I'm seeing one of those humans is being accelerated with an agentic world where AI is detecting and saying that every SKU is anchored with clean GTINs, there's variant relationships, there's verified imagery. So counterfeits can't easily slot in the ecosystem when these IDs are consistent. They're doing that one level of automation that used to take a lot more of intuitive oversight, if you will, before.
Going further into that, Mohammed has another question or a comment, but I think it's important to talk about the dynamic product attributes, even things like, is it in stock or not, right? Versus predetermined or fixed tables. So, how does anyone have perspective on that? Because there's this growing list of fields. There are new fields that now you can handle because there's some agentic capabilities. But Taran, you were saying that even like supply chain kind of questions, like the product itself, it's not just about moving the product from supplier to consumer. That product has different impact on the organization as a whole, beyond margins and things. It actually has certain other costs associated with it. Large furniture, for example, versus a smaller piece of clothing, and then you get into food and all those things. So
it's a great point. I think the old way was to treat product data as a fixed table. You had 20 to 30 predetermined fixed attributes like height, weight, color, and you pushed it to a PDP, right? Today's commerce is dynamic. It's not a fixed attribute. It is based on every context, every channel, consumer expectations, consumer behavior that's going live. So think sustainability scores, right? Or AI-generated comparison tags that say best for small spaces, live inventory status, delivery promises, or even social proof like trending TikTok mentions. Those are all absolutely becoming front and center on how, I will say, the next generation, but probably this generation also currently shops on. And the role for us then becomes connecting these dots is really easy when you're a small business. It's really, really hard the larger the enterprise becomes, because it's almost, you can draw a line and say, e-commerce is ahead, supply chain is still fairly lagging. Yes, there are lots of players who are bringing it together. There's a human element to the workforce and the change management of how are these organizations going to work inside. There's nothing to do with software and technology and AI. How are they going to work inside to start surfacing these cross-functionally to be able to get that KPI that we want to track on the endpoint?
And then you have complexity thrown at the consumer. And we know the more complexity you throw at a consumer, the more confused they can get. And they might just bounce off of that product page itself. Does anyone have any thoughts on the future of the product page?
I think the future of the product page, from a consumer standpoint, would be more hyper-personalized. I think there were some comments around dynamic pricing. We talked about dynamic product attributes, but think about dynamic pricing as well. Take an example. I go and buy my cell phone from T-Mobile, and then let's say my kid is getting into college, and I want to give a cell phone to her. I need a cell phone which is for a specific cost XYZ. How can there be customized promotion plans which are just dedicated to this audience or to me? I think that's where the consumer is gonna see the next change, which means when you log in on your subscriber website, you already have like a promotion which is available just for you with that price tag, because they know and they understand their needs. That's the world that we are going. The hyper personalized, along with the dynamic pricing, which has the inventory, the allocation, when it could be available, everything within a real time a world available at that point of time to that customer. That's how I'm reimagining the world.
I think Romit is spot on there, right? I see it very much as your website's going to be live data, and that will map to your marketing promotional calendar. So whether it's Father's Day, Mother's Day, Black Friday, Christmas running, the content will write to the person around that event. So it'll remember the person coming back to the website. And we've seen some of that for a long time, where if you have a gin drinker, you land on a liquor website, it'll show you gin products and not red wine, etc. But it's just going to go, that product content is going to write to you around that promotion as well. Further from that, We know Perplexity are already trialing product feeds, plugging into their platform. And again, that's the futuristic. We may not have a website. We may be just working with a product feed plugged into these platforms.
Yeah, we have a lot. We had a recently a workshop with our product leaders on that topic. Is the PDP dead, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is, 25 years ago, when during the dot-com boom, we were like, our stores dead? Is everything going to go e-commerce? And today, 70% of my retailers still run stores. I'm not saying they're dead, but they will evolve, right? The way we are expecting it, I'll just give you the highlights of what was the key takeaways from that workshop for us. We don't think it'll be dead, but it will become atomized. The canonical PDP will become an API and a set of shareable building blocks. Like almost think of these as answer cards that include assistants, they have social apps, they have retailer search, and they then directly jump into a streamlined checkout or lightweight PDP. The advantage of that is that you can have those answer cards that an AI can directly read, right? You're really enabling that, saying you can directly shop here, but AI can directly use. TikTok can just have that. You have a cleaner interface for a direct to cart from multiple new starting points that we never had. So that's how we're expecting it to evolve. Few of our customers are starting to play with this. I haven't seen anybody just go back and say, hey, we're gonna, short of the really small business, the folks who are, were the under $800 import from China businesses that were just saying, I'm just gonna sell on TikTok, I'm just gonna sell on Instagram. Short of them, we haven't seen too much of that in production yet, but we do expect this to come through. And then there's obviously implications for AI ready product data for that evolving PDP that we can talk about.
And Tarun, the point that you made just now actually brought me back to that starting of internet age. Okay, so when internet came up with Google, with Amazon of the world, the retailers took those channels as like the new channels for their business. And I think the same thought process the retailers need to bring in right now. They have to treat ChatGPT, Perplexity, Agent Commerce as the new channels for enabling sales, for driving their revenue. Once they start thinking about them as those new channels, the game would automatically change, where the focus is now back on how do we enable these channels and make them better to increase their top line. That's the paradigm shift that needs to be done.
I think there's benefits on both sides of that, right? When you're optimizing your content and your product feeds for the future, you're also giving a benefit back to your SEO, because these are all kind of tasks that were at scale, were kind of brushed under the carpet. We're all on a level playing field. We don't really need to do it. There was a kind of a perception outside there. I got this content off the brand website, so it's okay for me to use it. That's Google pointing at you going, that's not unique. It's not your content. Even though it came from, I keep going back to Nivea where I worked at, just because it came from the Nivea website or the Nivea account manager gave it to you, that doesn't make it okay in Google's eyes. And again, if you put yourself up against your competitor in an agentic commerce, how do you differentiate yourself if you all have the same product description or you all have the same image with the same alt tag information at the back or the same file name? You really need to find your angles to step out.
There's another question from Reg, and I'm actually not sure what this means. Does anyone have an answer there?
Yeah, I think, and then the second example he used kind of puts context to that, right? It is, how do you use agentic AI to start identifying wellness claims that are wrong, or they're like, hey, it says it's FDA approved, but there's a very fine print around what does that really mean? And you see that with a lot of things that we don't really talk about. So if the way, and examples of that are abound. I have food services distributor companies who are annoyed because they have a wellness claim that says, I need to know what's this a great source of. And they say, okay. And the supplier, I've said this many times, brands don't necessarily need to care about data quality. They just want to get their product live as fast as they can. So if there's a wellness claim requirement for every product SKU, they will just say, great source of calcium, copy it 50 times and send it for 50 SKUs. 40 of them don't even have calcium, right? It's not that becomes the retailer's headache to go fix it. That's where AI is coming in. It's helping us identify misuse of certifications, right? Is this FDA approved exactly what it is? It's dosage and warning mismatches, it's counterfeit signals, which I talked about earlier, where you have a listing, the same GTN is being used for conflicting pack sizes. You know that there's just somebody's manipulating this. This price manipulations, where in this a lot of pricing engines will do that, saying the minute it drops 50% below our average, it triggers a compliance alert, expired certification. So there's a lot of individual use cases that have been tested. Some of these are starting to go live, but nobody, as far as I know, has like put everything together into here's an agent that can do end to end right now. But the possibilities are endless at this point.
Tarun, I actually have a slightly different view to it.
Okay.
I think the question that Raj asked earlier, it had some flavor of fraud to it as well.
Yeah.
Correct? And if you really see fraud as a use case, it's been solved in the industry. In financial services, already solved. Distribution, we have seen that. Pharma, we are seeing that. Yes, there are certain limits to it because of the privacy data, but fraud as a use case has been solved and done and dusted with. How enterprise and some of the enterprise with whom I have worked with large distribution companies, what they are doing is they are bringing the whole concept of fraud detection, which was earlier ML based process, overlay it with graph databases, which are knowledge graphs, essentially, which can help you define relationships between attributes, and overlay these two use cases in an agentic AI era, which means that now just to detect fraud, you are asking the agent to go into that API for fraud, figure it out where the problem is, go give it back to the agent, and then agent goes back either into the product description, the attributes, and sort of highlights through automation that, hey, these are the areas which are essentially wrong. The companies which are doing this are those who have already solved for fraud as a problem within their organization across multiple different areas. So that's the slight shift what I have seen, maybe not widely there across multiple organizations, but some of the large organizations are already solving this problem today.
And also they're using this for counterfeit products as well?
Not exactly counterfeit products, because that becomes, what should I say, that involves external agencies into the mix. It's more for their internal attributes, products, buying that happens as well. So I haven't seen more on the counterfeit product side of the things.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, there's two futuristic kind of predictions. One is that consumers will use AI to find products. We're seeing that already happening. And then there's a level of users or consumers just without even knowing it. There's the platform uses AI to find things. I mean, when it comes to what's happening now and what you think will happen in the future, how much of it do you think is like the consumer actually using an AI thing, or the consumer not even knowing that AI is happening in the background?
I was at an AI summit in Sydney last week, and Visa Commerce were doing the keynote, and the case study they've done, I think it was across 5,000 people, was 65% will migrate to agentic search and happy for a bot to do their shopping. How far that goes in the early stages, whereas in the future you may see the spoke around, you get onto your local grocery outlet, they know exactly what you're buying the whole time. You can say to them, send me $200 worth of shopping. They can work out what the usage is of particular products and go, this is what you haven't ordered in a while, and this is what you're probably due for a stock up. There it is, and we already have your credit card details. So they see it as just one further step of the credit card to be able to go to that approval.
Mm-hmm.
So it was interesting in that kind of sense that go and find me a holiday for me back to Ireland. at a good rate in premium economy, and it'll come back to you with some options going, here's the two we've chosen for you. Which one do you want?
Yeah. So if I go back to Chase, your question, I guess you're asking, saying that are they going to start the journey in a chatbot, or are they going to start the journey in an application or a website or a social commerce plan, and that's going to use chatbots without even them knowing it, right?
Well, I mean, if you use a search bar in any retailer, there is some level of
Yeah.
machine learning or something now in the background, and you don't
Yeah.
even know it. Even if it is just a bunch of rules
Yeah.
made.
Yeah.
And so, you know, consumers seem to be okay with AI. Even on the music side, they're making like birthday songs and special, like, you know, wedding songs with AI music. And it's like, they don't really care that much. So when will we drop the AI label and that's just how our computers work now?
It's a good
Do you know what I
question.
mean?
Yeah. I know what you mean. I think it's when the trust factor improves, because right now there is still a certain element of all of us have now. I relate this, and I'm dating myself here, to the days of when web browsers came on board, right? When it was pre-Google, right? Yahoo, Microsoft, Alta Vista, Ask Jeeves, and it was about internet search was an art. It was not a science. It was how curated are you in exactly what you're typing to get the right result out. And eventually it became where I don't have to worry about it. I'm just going to put in whatever I want and I'm going to get it. It's when we make the transition. Today, in any AI tool I am in, I am almost like, at the very best, I'm like, don't make stuff up, double check your sources, give me what this came from, so that I have that sense of, once that trust factor is overcome, I think that's when we'll drop the AI first, AI native moniker.
Yeah. Greg was commenting that many instances of consumers using AI for recipes, for example, allergen avoidance, and they said that it just failed. Like, it was giving them recipes with chlorine gas, or peanut allergies, saying that peanut butter was safe. And so,
Look,
and there's other famous examples of that being like very dangerous, what AI is telling people.
yeah, he's spot on, right? We use, obviously, at the start when we're testing, and we still test it from time to time with ChatGPT, etc. Even with GPT-5, the hallucination is still there. And if you're using that for product feeds, it will make up stuff, even for a bottle of Jim Beam, that it's exclusive to the retailer, when it's probably the most recognized bottle that's in every liquor store. That you're asking the question, where are you getting this information from? Is this exclusive, or products that are award winning? You know, it still just goes off on its own tangent and makes the stuff up. And that's risky.
There was an
in terms of
announcement,
trust.
it was this week or last week, that OpenAI was saying they're going to tweak the training of the model so that, you know, they kind of discovered, or they trained it the way that if you don't know, make a guess.
Yep.
Just like students taking a multiple choice test at school, you don't want to leave a blank.
Yep.
And so they were giving it like a point for just filling it out. And now they're trying to tweak that. So if it doesn't have an answer, it will say, I don't know.
Yeah. And that's really good.
Great improvement.
Absolutely. And then that's what is actually needed. 2 points, Chase, I will bring to what Tarun and JP mentioned. I think we should know that the LLM data is still not trained on the enterprise data. Okay, LLM is trained on internet data today. The enterprise data has still to reach those large language model. Think about a time when a lot of the bigger enterprises, they create their own language model, or they use LLM on their own enterprise data. That's where the real difference would happen. Big CPG retail companies, when they launch their recipes, they have everything vetted out. When that enterprise data reaches LLM, then the recipe information, the question which was asked, would be much more accurate. Obviously, guardrails have to be put together, which ChatGPT and other large language model companies, they are already doing that. So that's one point. Second point, I think there was a question where you also asked that, hey, what's happening to the future with respect to the AI side of the things? Will it be like in the background and we will not get to know about it? I think in some shape and form, it's already happening across. Think about Amazon's save and subscribe, correct? You do it, get it done, and then it happens all in the background. You already trust that. So what Tarun mentioned around trust, that engine is running. In future, think about it as part of your save and subscribe. Now, Amazon also provides a recommendation, and product recommendation has always been there. You buy this with eggs
Email
goes
also,
bread. They can weave in that product recommendation as part of their save and subscribe, and that is happening like all within the background. Nobody needs to be aware that, hey, this is all AI driven. So in some shape and form, for goods and products which are like very simple, easy to use, AI is taking a background and users are not able to uh, get a difference between them.
Hmm. I always get a kick out of it when something that already used AI, now they say now with AI, and really, like a Google Flight. If I use Google Flights to find now,
Mhm.
my phone is, sorry if your phone is a Google Flight, my phone is thinking I'm looking for a flight. But I'm pretty sure they're using AI already. But if they added that label, I don't know if the trust is there to say I want to gamble my entire business trip or my family vacation on an AI booking,
Yeah.
right? So
It's like gluten free when a product never had any gluten in it. It's just marketing, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
I think that comes back to Tarun's point earlier on around the trust thing. You ask it to book the flight for you, and then you realize after you've taken the flight, wow, that's going to cost me 20 grand. They're finding me the dearest economy seat going. I was expecting business class for that price. It'll find its way to get the accuracy right and learn what you want. And
It'll happen quicker than we can blink. That's the other thing I say right now. It's even the improvements in hallucinations, even the, hey, this is, I think Greg had a really good point. It's dangerous to the consumer if you start consuming this information and start using it saying, I'm going to rely on it first. It is not, it is at best an assistant. But think about one of the AI's tools that has been with us for 10, 15 years now that we've been fine with, which is your, I'm gonna kick off Chase's phone again. It's your Google Assistant, right? It is your Alexa, and they've been. It's at a scale now where that doesn't get it wrong anymore. It gets us right correctly, and it kind of just works, and we don't expect that to be wrong. I think that's the state we're going to be in. Ultimately, let's face it, what it is. OpenAI kind of rushed the release. For 15 years behind the scenes, everybody else was working on it. Google had Lambda going. Everybody else was forced to catch up because OpenAI said, hey, I'd rather be first than right. So I'm just going to get this out of the door. Here's a chatbot I throw on top of it. And to the example you just used, I'd rather get an answer out, even if I have to make it up, because I want it to feel like it's real and accurate. And that's what we're just playing catch up to. It's going to take another few, I don't know, I would have said years, maybe it's going to take months now to start seasoning, and it's baking in the oven right now as it gets better and better. But the future is there. I think nobody's questioning that. This is as big an event as the Model T and the introduction of the automobile. It's bigger than the .com boom, in my opinion.
As we wrap up, final thoughts on the topic, takeaways that retailers or brands can be thinking about.
I think I would say that making your AI product data ready for the next era, it's super important. In next 5 years, search-less shopping is something that's gonna evolve and take the center stage across multiple different product categories. And if your product data is not AI ready, then you are not even in the mix of putting your product in front of the consumers. So that's how I see the future coming across.
I'll just say that at the end of the day, shoppers and retailers don't care about the plumbing, right? They care about the trust. Shopping assistants, AI shopping assistants, social shops, PDPs, they all rely on clean, consistent, verifiable product data. As long as that trust is achieved, we're good. If the data is wrong, consumer is going to lose confidence, opportunities are lost. You lose that repeat customer, retailer can shut down shop because they're not going to That is it. That is the primary advice we are sharing as Syndigo to our customers.
Yeah, and just onto that, right? It's to us, it's about retail performance. It's knowing where that content is coming from. Just because it's coming from the supplier doesn't mean it's accurate, or your competitor is not using the same data. So one thing we always come back to, just because it might read well doesn't mean it indexes well. So it's been very clear that when you read your own product descriptions or your category pages, are they giving you enough information that they're going to give that same information to a robot? And that's where you got to read it. If that product description across 1,000 or 100,000 products is, it's not really telling me enough about the product or the use case, you've got a problem. So it's just making sure it's informative.
Makes sense.
So many insights. Thank you guys for being on with me today on this roundtable. I'm sure, like with all the engagement and the questions, I'm sure people got some takeaways from this. So thank you for being here, and we'll see everybody on the next one. Stay online.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
And feel free to reach out on LinkedIn or whatever. Always happy to chat and see
Absolutely.
how we can help.
Yeah, any one of these speakers, if you want to connect with them on LinkedIn or comment below, and we can reach out and connect you guys. So
Thank you.
stay online as I
Thanks,
end the
guys.
screen, and we'll see you all next time.